Hello, my dear students. Once again, I welcome you all to the next session. I hope you have all enjoyed previous session of this chapter tissue. In previous session, we have learnt how tissues are formed from cells by the process known as cell division. In this session, let us learn about plant tissues and their types. So let us begin with our today's discussion, the amazing world of plants. As plant belongs to the silent and simple world, varying lifespans, similar functions for their daily livings. The very first of them begin with germination. From a seed, this seed when supplied with air, water and soil and sunlight begins to grow by giving off root and a shoot, continue to grow to form a stem, thus giving up branches which bear leaf, flowers and fruits which contain seed for the next generation. Thus to support the growing structure, the stem also thickens. Accordingly, growth is followed by photosynthesis. Protection from the environment and transport of water from soil and food from leaves to the rest of the plant's body are plant functions necessary for living, which are carried out from a single spot or the area where they grow. As the plants are stationary, they do not move. Thus, we shall take into consideration each of the above function and study the tissues associated with carrying them out efficiently. So let us find the tissues associated with the first function, the that is in the plant, which is growth. And the growth is carried out by a tissue. The associated function with this particular function growth is meristematic tissue, and the photosynthesis, protection and transportation of food and water is carried away, or the tissues associated are known as permanent tissues. So children, before I continue the today's topic, I have assigned you a assignment in previous session. So let us find the answer for that activity which was assigned to you, the activity 6.1. The answer for the activity 6.1. Here are the question. The first question is, which of the two onions have longer roots and why? For this, you might have noticed in the duration where you have placed the onion and you have noticed, you have observed the growth of that roots. So what you get it from that which of the two onions has longer roots and why? So your answer is in the first jar because it has root tips. The second question is, do the roots continue growing even after we have removed their tips? So the answer is no. The third question is, why would the tips stop growing in the second jar after we cut them? To know the answer for this, we shall continue the lesson and try to find out in this particular discussion, today's discussion about the answer for the third question. That is why would the tips stop growing in the jar too after we cut them. So the reason for the growth in the root tips of the onion is meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissues for this region are known as growth tissues of the plant and consist of small, densely packed cells. Let us go a step forward and observe where the growth occurs by watching the seed germination. The word meristematic is derived from Greek word that is meristos, meaning dividing or division. These tissues, as they continue to grow or continue to divide, they are known as dividing tissues. Based on location, there are three types. They are of three types. The first one is the apical, the second one is intercalary, and the third is lateral meristem. Apical in the sense apex or at the tip region. This particular tissue is present in the tip region of root and shoot. So it is known as apical meristem. The second one in the row is intercalary, which is present at the base of the leaves and stem internodes. The third in the category or in the list is the lateral meristem, which means sides, which is found in the sides of the stem, left and right side of the stem. Thus, the meristematic tissue at the tip of the stem and the root is called the apical meristem, where the apical word comes from the Latin word apic, which means top, and helps in increase in the length of the plant. Moving on, the plant, along with increase in height, also starts giving out branches and leaves. This type of meristematic tissue occurring between the apex and the leaf is called the intercalary meristem. It helps in increasing the size of the leaves and internodes. Now, over a period of days, as the plant grows taller, it requires a strong stem. To support an increase in the width, this is brought about an increase in the thickness of the stem by the lateral meristem. And as the word lateral suggests, this tissue is situated at the sides of the stem and forms the bark of the tree. This growth is due to the presence of meristematic tissue only in the specific areas of the whole plant. So now we know what helps the plant to grow. It is the meristematic tissue. So children, here this particular pic provides you the idea where this particular three types of meristematic tissues are present. apical meristem present at the shoot tip and the root tip. Intercalary meristem present at the base and internodes, two successive divisions of the stem, internodes. And lateral meristem helps the plant to grow in width. The stem gets converted into a trunk, woody trunk, due to the presence of lateral meristem. So, by the way, if you get a question, name the different types of meristematic tissue and draw diagram to show their location. Here is the answer for that question. The answer is the three different types of meristematic tissues are apical meristem, and you need to write the function of it, where it is located. The apical meristem is located at the root and the shoot tips. And what is the function of it? The function is it helps to increase the length. The second is lateral meristem. So lateral meristem means side to side, located at the girth. And what is the function of it? Helps to increase the girth. And the third is intercalary meristem. It is located at the base of the leaves or the internodes, and it helps to grow the twigs into branches, tissue cells filled with cytoplasm. You need to write these points as well as you have to draw this diagram, a neat label diagram of meristematic tissues and the tissues based on the location. This is the graphical representation of apical meristem. This graphical representation will give a clear idea where the apical meristem or the tissues help the shoot tips as well as the root tips continues to grow. You often see cows grazing on the field. So do they become barren? After the cows have grazed, no, the grass eventually grows back. So what causes the regrowth of the grass? Because we have studied that apical meristem is responsible for the growth in the plants. But in this case, the apical meristem of the grass is already in the cow's stomach. So, what causes the regrowth of the grass? Let us see. Let us consider a bamboo plant. See, the bamboo plant have these joints or joint-like structures. These joint-like structures are known as nodes. So between these two successive nodes, the space, this portion is known as internodes. This portion is known as internodes. This internodes is made up of a permanent tissue that have lost the ability to divide and grow any further. So the internode that is present in between two successive nodes are made up of permanent tissue. But between the permanent tissues at the nodes, at this portion, they have meristematic tissue. Means meristematic tissues are present at these nodes. See, this is the meristematic tissue at the nodes between the permanent tissue layers of the internodes, and this meristematic tissue is known as intercalary meristem. Means in between and meristem come from the word meristematic tissue. So intercalary meristem, that is situated at the nodes, is what causing the regrowth of the grass. When trees attain the maximum height, they don't grow vertically anymore. After a certain point of time, tree grows vertically initially, but after a certain phase of time, they stop growing vertically anymore. They start growing laterally. That is how tree become broader. Now see this tree. It has grown. It has attained its vertical height. Maximum vertical height. If you come back and see the same tree after 2 years later, this is what you are going to see. The trunk has clearly increased in diameter. This was narrow. The same tree after 2 years remain of the same height, but the trunk has clearly become broader. So what causes this lateral growth or increase in the breadth of the plant? When the plant has attained its maximum vertical height, then some permanent tissues which have lost the ability to divide and grow any further converts to form the meristematic tissue, and these meristematic tissues because they have the property of division and growth cause the lateral growth. So the meristematic tissue causes the lateral growth because they get converted from permanent tissues with every successive years. Tissues convert to form meristematic tissues. They cause the growth. So in 1 year, the permanent tissues gets converted to meristematic tissues and one ring is formed. The ring indicates the formation of new cells, the meristematic tissues. So the next year another ring is formed because again some point convert or some permanent tissues get convert from meristematic tissue causes the formation of this ring. So if you cut a tree transversely or laterally like this, you will be able to see a lot of rings like structure like this. If you count the rings, you will be able to tell the age of the tree. How? Well, one ring is formed in 1 year. So if there are 100 rings, that will indicate that the tree is of 100 years old. Now let us learn about the characteristic features of meristematic tissue. So as you see in the picture, this is the meristematic cells, the group of cells which have formed the tissues. If you observe it clearly, you will see that they have three prominent parts. The first is the borderline, which is the cell wall. The inner jelly-like material or a transparent liquid-like material is nothing but the cytoplasm, and in the center a dark spot, this is the nucleus. So what are the features of this meristematic tissue? These meristematic tissues are very active. As they are the dividing tissues, they continue to divide by the process called cell division. So you can see over here, the first characteristics of meristematic tissue is they are very active. They remain always young because they are tireless, fearless, and they continue to grow. The second characteristic of this particular meristematic tissue or cell is they have a dense cytoplasm. As you can observe in this picture, they have a very thick cytoplasm. Dense in the sense thick cytoplasm. The third point here is characteristic of this tissue is they have a very thin cell wall. As you can observe in the picture, they have a very thin cell wall. And this thin cell wall is made out of a chemical known as cellulose. The fourth point is, as you can see, the dark central part, this is the nucleus, and it is very prominent, it is very dark, it is highlighted, it is very prominent. So meristematic tissues have prominent nuclei. If you talk about a plant cell, it is having a large central vacuole. As we have studied in earlier chapter, that is fundamental unit of life, the plant cell have vacuoles, that too are large vacuoles. But in this case, even though these are the plant cells, they lack vacuole. And why is it so? Because these particular cells, they continue to grow. If you talk about the function of a vacuole, the vacuole is meant for storage as well as support, and this particular cells, meristematic cells, required neither, means they don't require both the things, storage as well as support, so they lack the vacuole. Now let us talk about permanent tissues. Now the question is, what happens to the meristematic tissues? The meristematic tissues or the dividing tissues, what happen after certain period of time? So here, this particular tissues, they lose the ability to divide and become permanent. Means earlier they are the dividing tissues. Now after certain period of time, they lose the ability to divide and then they become permanent. Means you can see over here, the parent cells, as they lose the ability to divide, they become permanent. Earlier they are the young tissues and they are immature. After some period of time, they lose the ability, they become mature, and they take up a permanent shape, size and structure. This particular process is known as differentiation. Let us understand in a clear the definition of the permanent or differentiation. What is differentiation? So differentiation is the process of taking up a permanent shape, size and function. As you can see in this, in human body, the muscle cells are meant for movement and the nerve cells are meant to transmit the signals. These two cells, they arise from a single cell. From a single cell, that is the embryo starts in development, a single cell at the point, the first point or the first time of our body, that first hours, 5 minutes, 2 hours, 1 month and 7 years. After a due course of time, what happens to this single cell?
it starts to increase or divide in number and they form a group increase in number of cells and they form a group of cells and they form the tissue. Now these tissues, after some period of time, that is minutes, hours, months, years, it gets converted into organs, and these organs then get converted into organ systems, and they take up a particular shape, size and structure, and they also perform the function accordingly. For example, heart. The heart, it's begin with a single cell, then the tissues, cardiac tissues are formed. These cardiac tissues then group together to form a organ, that is heart, and then this organ heart, it takes up a permanent shape, size, and it is meant for pumping. Like that, it is not going to change. The heart is not going to take up after few days of time, get converted into stomach or kidney. It will remain as a heart and it continue to perform its function as a pumping of the blood. So this is what the differentiation. The process of taking up a permanent shape, size and function is known as differentiation. So the same cells, they get convert into, or they form muscle cells and nerve cells, and like this they take up a permanent shape, size and function. So here is how the meristematic tissue from dividing or growing tissue, after a period of time, that is after maturity, they turn up into permanent tissues or non-dividing tissues. So here is the difference between the meristematic tissues and the permanent tissues. So you can pause for a while and copy down all these points. This question will be for 2 or 3 marks. So the points of difference between meristematic tissue and permanent tissue is: meristematic tissues, continuously dividing tissues. These particular tissues are continuously dividing tissues, whereas permanent tissues are non-dividing. They do not divide continuously. What about the shape or size of these cells? Meristematic cells are small and isodiametric. Almost all are similar size or shape, but permanent tissues, they show variation in their shape as well as size. Now let us talk about the cell wall. The cell wall in meristematic tissue is thin, while it is thick in permanent tissues. The nuclei are large in meristematic tissues, but they are small in permanent tissues. Vacuoles are absent in meristematic tissues but present in the permanent tissues. The intracellular space. What is this intracellular space? Means in the space between the two cells. So it is absent. They don't have any space between their cells. But in permanent tissues, the cells have space. Intracellular space is present. The metabolic activities are at high rate in meristematic tissues as they are continuously dividing, whereas in permanent tissues they lack or they have low rate of metabolism. Inorganic inclusions are absent. Now, what is inorganic inclusions? Inorganic inclusions means these are the chemical substance which are present, like starch or amino acid, the proteins or some kind of chemicals are present, or fat globules are not found or not present in the meristematic tissue, but they are present in the permanent tissues. The cells are undifferentiated, means The cells are not going to take up any further shape or size. They remain as it is. As they are born, they remain the same with the same size and shape. Whereas in permanent cells, the shape size changes. They get differentiated. They change to a permanent shape, size and structure. Whereas in case of meristematic tissues, they contain only simple tissues. They are having simple tissues. In permanent tissues, you will see simple as well as complex tissues, which we are going to discuss very in detail. So let us discuss about the permanent tissues. So let us first consider or see the flow chart of this permanent tissue. As these permanent tissues are of two types. They are simple and complex. Now why it is called simple and why it is called complex? So simple because they have a simple structure and similar type of cells. They are of three types. They have sub-classified as parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And sclerenchyma. And why it is called so? The meaning of parenchyma is filler tissues. They are filled with some of the substances in it, and that's why they are called parenchyma. Collenchyma. Collenchyma is basically meant for providing support, and the sclerenchyma is providing protection for the plant throughout its life. So there are simple tissues. Permanent tissues are classified mainly into two types, simple tissues and complex tissues. The simple tissue, why it is known as simple? Because they contain the cells which are simple in structure and similar types of cells. They are further classified as parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma as per their structure and their function. Parenchyma means fillers. Collenchyma are meant for support and sclerenchyma provide protection. Now let us see what is complex tissues. Complex tissues means they contain different types of cells. But they are tissues as they are this different with a different shape and sizes. They are grouped together to perform a common function, so they are known as complex permanent tissues.
How to take the sections of the stem region? There are two ways by which you can take the section. It is called the cross section or transverse section and longitudinal section. So transverse section in the sense when you hold the stem in your hand and you take a horizontal section of that, this is called the transverse section. So the first in this picture, in the first row, the parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, you can see the cross section, and below that is the longitudinal section. That is, if you hold the stem and take a vertical sections of it, you cut the stem along a vertical section, then you get these longitudinal sections. So this is how you can take the sections of the stem region. There are two ways. One is called TS or cross section, transverse section and the longitudinal sections. So here is the written material about the permanent tissues, their types and their features. You can refer this. You can pause it and you can note down the.
Now let us see the first in the category of simple permanent tissue, that is parenchyma. As the parenchyma, their function or their feature, it is known as filler tissues. They are known as filler tissues. So here the characteristics of parenchyma. If you observe in this pic, they consist of loosely packed, thin-walled cells having more intracellular space. That is, the cells are arranged loosely, they are packed loosely in this, as well as they have very thin cell wall and having more space between the cells. Second point is some parenchyma cells in leaves contain chloroplast and prepare food for photosynthesis. Now, if you observe a section of a leaf under a microscope, there you will see this particular parenchyma cells are filled with, as I told, they are the fillers. If it is filled with a green color pigment or a organelle, that is chloroplast, then they are meant for the process known as photosynthesis. Then we call them as a chlorenchyma. So parenchyma with chloroplast are known as chlorenchyma. Next is some parenchyma cells have large air cavities which help the plant to float on the water surface, like in aquatic plants, the lotus plant. It is able to float on the surface of the water, and that is because of the large air spaces between their cells, and such parenchyma cells with large air spaces in them are called erenchyma. So you can see in this particular graphic representation of a lotus plant, as the lotus plant is floating on the surface of the water. Here this parenchyma cells provide buoyancy to the aquatic plants. So this is due to the erenchyma. And why it is called as erenchyma? When the parenchyma cells has a large air spaces between them, we call it as a erenchyma. So here is the clear view of types of parenchyma or subclasses of parenchyma. So in the first you can see the tissues or the cells of erenchyma. They have a large air space, air cavities present, and here it provides a buoyancy for the aquatic plants. They can easily float on the surface of water. The second picture is about the chlorenchyma. As you can see in the leaves, if you take a section of it and observe it under microscope, you see a green color part in it due to the presence of chloroplast in it, and that's why it is known as the parenchyma with the presence of chloroplast are called chlorenchyma. And the main function of parenchyma is to store the food. As you can see here, the starch, the food what we eat, the delicious fruits what you enjoy, the sweetness or the taste of the fruits is due to the presence of parenchyma. This parenchyma main function is to store the food. The next in the category of simple permanent tissue is collenchyma. Collenchyma, the main function is to provide the support. This is the top view of the collenchyma cells, and this is the side views of the collenchyma cell. As you can see, they have a thicker cell walls and uneven walls are present. As you see, the collenchyma consists of elongated cells having less intracellular space. Less intracellular space between the two cells. There is no space or less space available. So thicker at the corners. They are this red color marking. It is the corners. At the corners you can see it is having a thicker. They are thick at the corners. They give flexibility and allows easy bending of different parts of the plant like stem or leaf region, as they are present at the region of the plant in leaf and stem. They can easily bend. This collenchyma provides flexibility to the leaf and the stem, so they can easily bend without breaking. They also give mechanical support to the plant. You can observe this in this particular GIF. They can easily bear the strong wind without breaking. So the collenchyma, simple permanent tissue in the category. Second is collenchyma, which provide the flexibility to the plant. Now the sclerenchyma, it is the third type of simple permanent tissue. Sclerenchyma, this is the overview of sclerenchyma, a top view and a side view, elongated longitudinal section as well as the transverse section. If you observe under the microscope, you will find it to be this way. So here sclerenchyma consists of long, narrow, dead thick wall cells. So the cells present in this are dead. These cell walls contain a chemical substance known as lignin, which act like a cement and hardens them, which provide hardness. Wherever this sclerenchyma is present, that part of the plant is very hard. It gives strength and hardness to the plant parts. Example, husk of a coconut. It is very tough due to the presence of sclerenchymatous cells, and veins of the flowers, and hard covering of nuts, cashew nut, almond, walnut. You will see, if you observe it under the microscope, you will find that they contain a sclerenchyma. So what is the characteristic feature of sclerenchyma? It consists of long, narrow, dead, thick walled cells. The cell walls contain lignin, a chemical substance which acts like a cement or hardens them. It gives strength and hardness to the plant parts. Here is an important point to be noted. As per exam point of view, you may get a question: differentiate between parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma on the basis of their cell wall. You can refer this slide to write your answer. You can draw the answers here. You can draw the diagrams of parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Along with that, you can write the characteristic of that and functions of that. So here is the answer for that question. You draw the diagram of parenchyma cells. In front of it, you write that these are the unspecialized cells with the thin primary walls. The main function is photosynthesis, secretion and storage. The collenchyma, elongated cells with uneven primary walls living at maturity. So the function is support in leaves and stem. They provide support for the leaves and the stem. Sclerenchyma. This is the diagram of sclerenchyma cells, and the characteristics are elongated with very thick secondary walls, dead at maturity, and the main function is to provide support.